Hi, welcome to All Things Football. We're into our third episode now, and a really good one for me. The guy we're going to introduce today, I met him a couple of years ago. The very successful under-18 side who never really got noticed, but we went to Leyton Orient in the FA Youth Cup, and I got an email from Matty Etherington just to ask if he could come and introduce himself to the boys and watch him train. He was really impressed with us, and to have someone of his stature and what he's been through to come and speak to my players and myself was just a massive thing for us, and it really meant a lot. And since then, I've watched him grow and develop as a coach as well and what he's doing. So delighted to have him on the show. I think, Jay, you're going to introduce him, mate, and good to have you back on the show, Jay, as well, mate. How are you?
I don't need to introduce him. I think you've just done that, haven't you?
I think I did, mate, but you can still do it again.
Oh, yeah. Cheers. Thanks very much, Lee. Yeah. So, joining us for the third episode today, we've got ex-Spurs, Stoke and West Ham winger, Matty Etherington. How you doing, Matt?
Yeah, very well, thank you. All good.
Good. Thanks for coming on today. Really looking forward to having a chat with you. We'll get straight into it, if that's all right. Where did you grow up, and who did you play for, and where did you fall in love with football?
I was born in Cornwall, in Falmouth. Born in Truro, lived in Falmouth up until about 11 years old. Loved football, loved cricket, loved sport in general, really. And got scouted down in Cornwall from Peterborough United. I was playing for the local team. We were quite successful in our area. We had some good players, all schoolmates enjoying it. I'm loving life. And Peterborough United came for me, and they had a scout down there. And I went up there for trials, and then in about a month or two, really, I was going up there nearly every weekend on the train, training with them on a Friday night, Saturday, play Sunday, come back Sunday night. And
that's some distance, isn't it?
It is, mate, yeah. But, there was no category status at that time, and they were putting some money into the academy. And, Simon Davis, who I ended up going to Tottenham with, was travelling from Haverfordwest and West Wales. We had players from Northern Ireland. We had players from Denmark. It was all over, really. We had a good youth team. Materialised out of it and got to the semi-final of the Youth Cup. But they were scouted from everywhere, and there was a lot of distance to travel. But it was worth it. And in the end, my mum and dad come to the decision that we should move up to give myself the best chance of being a professional footballer. So I had my first year at secondary school in Falmouth, and then moved up to Peterborough, and they found a school for me and all that, and it went from there.
That is, I'm at Hendon now, and we play Truro in our league. That is a long way, mate.
It's a slap in it, yeah. It is.
When I was at St Albans as well, and it's a long old way. And anything closer to home? Could you have done Plymouth or Swindon?
No, I used to go and watch Plymouth on the odd occasion. I used to follow my uncle everywhere. They played in Step 5, the Southwest Premier League. Because it's so remote, it's still it's probably a little bit better than Step 5, but I travelled with him everywhere, and they had a really good team that won the league, and I used to go with him every Saturday morning. I just love football, really. I used to go to the odd game, Plymouth Argyle, but I wasn't picked up by them. Peterborough were the ones that picked me. That's where it went from there.
That's a huge commitment for your parents as well, isn't it? Moving all the way from there up to Peterborough. How did you fit in?
Yeah, it was. My sister weren't too happy either, as you can... but no, it was a huge commitment. My dad had a business that weren't going too well at the time, so they just wanted a clean break, and they thought it was best for all of us and to give me the best possible chance of fulfilling my dream, really.
How was it when you sort of down south and you live that way, and you up sticks and move at what was you, 12, 13 years of age? What's that like for you? Was you quite lucky because you're in an academy and you're highly thought of, or was it quite daunting for you and changing areas?
Yeah, it was. I'll be honest, it was quite daunting for me. Obviously, I grew up with a close group of friends that I had to leave behind, and then going to a new secondary school, it's probably easier if you do it a bit younger and going to primary school. You've got a bit of time to get to know people. Going straight into secondary school, it'd be quite tough, and I didn't really make any close friends there. And I still keep in touch with my mates from Cornwall, but it was just tough. And I was solely interested in being a professional footballer. It was an obsession of mine.
Yeah,
it's going to stop me, and I probably had that mentality where I just wanted to play football, albeit the schoolwork was still important.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a big move for your parents as well, because, like, Matt, it doesn't work out for everyone, does it? So if it didn't work out for you to move that far, I mean, it's such Such a big ask for them as well. I mean,
yeah, it was a risk. Yeah, when you look back on it now, it may not have worked out. Luckily for me and my family, it did. But it was. But I do think there was an element to it that they wanted to experience a new life. And Cornwall's, a little bubble. It's beautiful. I love it. And it's a beautiful place to live. But it's a little bubble, and it's so far from anywhere that it is nice to experience different.
It's like another
places.
world, it really is, isn't it? When you go,
it's
totally different to anything else, mate. So what do you do then? So you go at 13, and are you contracted to Peterborough till 15 or 16? And
schoolboy forms, and they give me an early YTS when I moved up there, so they give me that, and then near enough around my 15th birthday, they give me a professional contract as well. So it was unprecedented, really, at the time. Me and Simon Davis both got it. And to be fair, Barry Fry was brilliant. A lot of people got a lot of things to say about Barry, but he's always been absolutely brilliant to me, and he's done a huge amount for football and that football club. He was fantastic and looked after me brilliantly.
Yeah. So when sorry, Joe, I'm just gonna say when you go into YTS forms, what do you do?
Yeah.
Did you still live with parents, or did you go digs then?
I went into the digs for the first year.
Yeah.
My mum and dad split up, so my mum started taking some of the boys in herself, and to get a bit of income. So and I ended up staying with her in my second year.
Okay, that's good, Matt. And then what when did you first make your Football League appearance for Peterborough?
I made it at 15.
Wow.
Still, I think the youngest to have made it for Peterborough United. We played Brentford away. Never forget it. I was still at school doing my GCSEs, and played against Brian Statham. It's quite a well-known player for Spurs, I believe, right back. And that was an experience. I did okay on the day. I was so nervous. I remember that going. I was still a boy,
of course.
And I megged him within the first 10 minutes and went past him, crossed the ball in, and he said, "You do that again, I'll break your leg, son." Welcome. But no, again, brilliant experience. I didn't really play much the next season. I played youth team football, but just that experience really, really helped me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Matt, if there was if you could go back and speak to your 15-year-old self and give yourself a tiny bit of a pep talk about the game, about the teams you went on then to play, what advice would you give yourself, especially if now I'm 15, starting to break into looking at it's a different way nowadays in football, isn't it? But what would you have said to yourself?
To keep your eyes on the prize, so to speak, as in just stay in love with football. I was so obsessed as a kid to be a professional footballer, and luckily enough I had a bit of talent as well, but it was all I ever wanted to be. And I think when you've got that focus and you've got that drive and will to do it, then you can achieve anything, and I'm testament to that, I think. But then I just think during my midway through my time at West Ham, I just lost my way a little bit. I lost my focus, and it was all I ever wanted to do. And I just would probably just remind myself of that, is to really just keep focusing on what got you to where you got to, really.
And it's quite funny that, because I know some of the scholars' work they do at Stevenage. They've had quite a few speakers that come in and talk to the lads about finding a love away from the sport, which is kind of different to what you kind of just said, isn't it? So instead of if you've lost, that's the end of the world for professional footballers. And when we spoke to Darren, the last two Darrens, saying that's when you have to switch on as a manager. But really, really contrasting thoughts there, isn't there?
Yeah, everyone's different, mate. I work best, and I'm at my best when I have a drive, I have a focus, and I have a will to be the best I can be. Yeah, it definitely is important that you need to switch off at times. You need that reset button. Yeah. But I don't think you'll get to where you want to get to if it isn't, all you think about more often than not, and that's just the way I am.
Yeah, of course, mate. So obviously, you break into Peterborough first team. You get sort of 50 appearances under your belt, and then Tottenham come in for you and Simon Davis. What's that like for you? Is that a dream come true? Is that, have you then made it? What's it like?
It was, again, like moving from Cornwall to Peterborough was a big step. Then moving from Peterborough down to London was another big one, because obviously the bright lights of London, massive city.
Yeah.
It was an experience, and we signed in July. We actually went to Manchester United the pre-season before.
Right.
Sir Alex Ferguson spoke to Barry, and it was just before the first game of the season, and said, "Oh, I've heard about these two boys. Can they come up and train?" So we went up there, and we thought we were going to go and train with the youth team. Turned up at the cliff, Lamborghinis, Ferraris everywhere. Si was in his Peugeot 206, and we travelled the way up, and went up to see Sir Alex again. Just an unbelievable experience.
I can imagine.
He introduced himself to us, said, "I've heard a lot about you. You're going to be with us for the week. We've got a game at the back end of the week against Boca Juniors. You're playing that as well. And here's the kit man. He's going to take you downstairs to get changed. You're training with the first team." And we looked at each other like, what? They just won the treble. It was the year they just won the treble. I think it was going into the 99-2000 season. And we went down and we trained with the first team. We changed in the same change room as them. Roy Keane, Gary Neville, Teddy, who I was later to play with at Spurs and West Ham as well. It was just a surreal experience. And then we trained with them that morning. They obviously started off with boxes, as a lot of teams do. Two youngest go in, me and Si, of course, go in. We were in there for about 20 minutes. We couldn't get the ball. It was just a real eye opener as to how far off we were to where we want to get to. But again, the experience from that was incredible.
And did that really have an effect on your career moving forward? Although you obviously didn't work out there, seeing that, having that week with Man United, what did that do for you?
It did, like I said, it just realised how far we were off that top level. We were miles off it, albeit we were young. I think I was 17. I think Si was 18 or 19. But we were just absolutely miles off the level that they had. So again, it was probably another push for us to get better and strive to be better.
How did they let you know at the end of the week? Did they have a chat with you? Did they ring Barry and just say, "Look, they're not for us at the moment, and we'll keep eye on them"? What did they say?
They basically, we played the game against Boca Juniors on the Thursday, I believe, and we had a game on the Saturday in the league. I might be off my days there, but I believe it was a Thursday. And Sir Alex was watching upstairs in his office. I did okay first half, so I was really good. And then second half, I did well, but Sir Alex had gone. He went at half time, probably made his mind up by then. And he called Barry and said, "Look," he goes, "you can tell they got talent." He goes, "But they're not for us right now." Barry said, "Get yourselves back down for training Friday morning. We got a game Saturday," and that's what we did.
So obviously, mate, the move then comes to Spurs. Did you have to go in there to trial, or was it?
No, they actually set up some games at the stadium, like behind closed doors. You know what Barry's like. He was seeing the pound signs and doing his best to get to not to sell us on, because like I said, he'd been brilliant for us, but for the good of the football club to get a few quid. And he set up some behind closed doors game against Tottenham. There was one game where I played against Maurizio Sirico, who's their actual first team right back at the time, and they put him in this game to see how I'd do against him, and so it was always on the cards. And then it happened in January. We went down to Tottenham on the train. Barry said they'd accepted a deal, and we went down and watched them play Liverpool. I think it was at White Hart Lane on New Year's Day, and again, what an experience that was, watching that, Ginola, who was playing at the time, playing in my position. I was thinking, I've got no chance here. But what a player he was. So yeah, again, it happened. We were on the front of the programme that day, some new signings, etc. So baptism of fire.
Yeah, and when you get there, what's it like? Did you struggle to start with? Was it straight in first team, and how was that for you?
Yeah, no, we went straight. They had like an under the boys that had been given professional contracts. Like Cratchy was there, Mark Gower, Fenn, and so they had like a select group of like under 23s, you'd call it now, I suppose. We changed in a separate changing room, and Chris Houghton was our coach. Obviously, gone on to be a brilliant manager himself, and he'd take us every day, and we'd just dip in and out of the first team if and when they needed us, really.
Who was the manager at the time?
When we first went there, it was George Graham.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
What was he like?
Yeah, he was good. He was good to us, to be fair. We didn't really... We had the odd appearance on the bench. It took us about a season or so, I think, to make our debuts. But he was good. He was, he's very successful, and he's very rigid and structured in everything he does. But he was a good manager to work under.
So how did the then loan move work out to Bradford? Was it just because you needed to get game time, or was it you felt you needed just to move on, or was it something the club saw?
Yeah, no, just game time really. At that point, that they thought Bradford had just been relegated from the Premier League and still in the Championship, and Jim Jeffries was the manager, and I went up there. It was a club that was really in decline. It was having financial trouble at the time, but I enjoyed the experience again, playing Championship football. Playing with some decent players. It was a good experience, but it just it was purely a basis, I think, of just getting out there and getting some experience.
So obviously, mate, it's obviously been known about the troubles you've had. When did the gambling kind of start? Did it start at Tottenham? Is that why it kind of come to an end and you went to West Ham? Did it start after Tottenham? And you talk a lot about being dedicated to the game and things like that. Did it kind of fall out of love with the game and focus yourself on something else? You're young, you've got a bit of money now.
Yeah.
So the bright lights of London. How's it all come about?
It was. It wasn't really. It didn't really come to a head. I realised I was in a lot of trouble till my second to third season at West Ham. Really, at Tottenham, I used to have it happened where me and Si, before we found houses, they put us up in the Waltham Abbey Marriott.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, no,
we were there for 3 or 4 months, and it just got so. I know. Again, I don't want to. Brilliant that you're getting paid for in a hotel, etc. It's all the perks of being in the Premier League, but it just got really tedious, and we had too much time on our hands. We used to have putting competitions. We love our golf up and down the corridors, just to try and pass some time away. And one evening, I opened the Evening Standard. I was bored out of my brain, and there was a dog card on there from Walthamstow for that evening. I thought, you know what, I'm going to pop down. Never gambled for in my life, and I did, and I loved it, to be honest with you. In years after that, I owned greyhounds and had a real passion for it. I loved it, but at that time, it was just going there. I had a little £20 bet here, £10 bet there, £5 bet there. Nothing serious. Just enjoyed getting out of the hotel, really, and it all came later from there. But Tottenham, it wasn't. I didn't really, there wasn't an issue.
No.
But that's how it all started, and yeah.
Do you think now, if you go back and maybe Tottenham look after you better, maybe you take yourself out of that environment of being in a hotel and try and get a place quicker? Do you think it would have maybe halted it and maybe not got into that kind of that side of life of gambling? Or
maybe I don't know. I think it's a tough one, really. I think it was meant to happen for whatever reason, and I just think that I just, like I said, I lost my focus when I was at Tottenham. We made our debuts at Anfield, we made our full debuts at Old Trafford. I enjoyed it for the majority of the time, and then Glenn Hoddle took over, who was a brilliant coach tactically. He had an unbelievable brain, but he just didn't see me as integral part of the team, which is understandable. We had Christian Ziege in front of me, who played wing, and whenever he was fit, he played. But there was a time where I played 10 or 11 games. We started the season really well. Christian Ziege was injured, and I thought, right, I've done enough to keep my shirt here. And Christian Ziege come back from fitness. He put him straight back in, and I kind of lost interest then. I thought, I've got no chance here. I can't do much more. So maybe got a little bit disillusioned, and that's when I got my move to West Ham. The move to West Ham for me was brilliant. I love the football club, love everything about it. And the first year I got Hammer of the Year, had a brilliant season. Unfortunately, we lost in the playoff final. Second season, we went up, beating Preston again in the playoff final. And then the third year, we got to an FA Cup final. So it the brilliant times, but that was probably when it got to its worst. And it just accumulated over those number of years to the point where I was gambling so much money, more money than I was earning. And, I was distancing myself from my friends and my family. And it really got a hold of me. And I probably lost my focus around about that time.
So how did the gambling affect your relationship with football and also the people that were closest around you?
When it started getting quite bad, I wouldn't say it affected my relationship with football. Football was a release for me. Going on that training pitch or going out and playing in Upton Park, I loved it. But then it got to a point where it was consuming my mind on every second of every day, to the point where I was coming in at half time and not thinking about my performance. I was thinking about the bets that I put on that morning or whatever on the horses. You know, it was, and that's when I knew this is getting out of hand now.
So with your gambling, it wasn't one specific. Were you doing more than one different type, if that makes sense?
What, is in betting?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was dogs, really, dogs and horses. You know, obviously we weren't allowed to bet on football, so it wasn't that. It was dogs and horses. And I knew a bit about dogs, but I didn't know nothing about horses. And the money was only going to go one way, and that was to the bookies.
It's such a fine line as well, isn't it, Matty? Because I've got a very good friend of mine whose dad's famous, and his dad's has had betting problems over the years, and he's passed on to his son a little bit. And when I speak to him, it's just it literally, I've suffered mentally myself as well, and when it consumes you, it takes over your life. And he says to me, I'm just looking for my next bet. Like, the only thing that takes his mind off it would be going to football and dealing with that for 3 hours. That's finished. What can I do now? And it literally just takes over your life and takes over your head. And it really does affect your life, don't it?
It really does, mate. It affects it to the point where, you know, you go into some really dark places. And I'll be the first to admit that I went into dark places through it. It was a real bad time in my life. And like the thing that hurts me the most is that I did distance myself from my friends and my family, more importantly. And luckily for me, I've got an unbelievable family around me, and they just, I was at Stoke, and that they all come up to the Stoke, and I come home from training, and they're all sitting around the table. So an intervention kind of thing, really, and said, right, let's get everything on the table. You know, what's happening? How much debt are you in? Blah, 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 blah. And they basically took it all over and just took it all off my shoulders. It felt like a massive weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Said, right, we'll deal with it. You go and play football. You go and enjoy your football. You've always wanted to do is just enjoy your football. Yeah. And I'll never forget them. You know, never forget that they did that for me.
When you're at West Ham, mate, and you're in this addiction, what was it like in terms of preparing for matches? Did your focus go off that? Did it go off focus for training? Was you having late nights? Was it hard to focus for football matches? Was it, you know, you come to the coach on a Friday thinking, where can I get my next bet on? Was it like that in the end?
Yeah, it was. It was. You know, like I said, for good 2-3 years, I was at West Ham for 5.5 years. For the first 3 years, I'd say, it actually, I wouldn't say it affected my football too much.
No.
Even though the focus probably in that third year wouldn't have been where it should be, it was more my fourth and fifth year at West Ham, and then probably the initial weeks or months at Stoke. But I definitely wasn't, and that's, you know, going back to the question about your 15-year-old self. That's that. If I have any regrets in my life, is that did I fulfil my full potential? I don't believe, if I'm being completely honest with myself, that I did. I think you know, I'm more than happy with the career that I had, and a lot of people would love to have done what I did. But I just think that did I fulfil my full potential? I'm not too sure I did.
What was going back to a little bit of football talk, mate? What was West Ham like? It's a fantastic football club. I've been to Upton Park a few times and listened to them sing "Forever Blowing Bubbles," and it's an amazing club. What was it like as a football club? How was it for you? And you know, you've had some achievement there as well. What was it like when you were winning things and getting promoted to the Premier League?
Yeah, it was a brilliant football club. I can't speak highly enough of it, really. The fan base are exceptional. Probably the first word that comes to mind. They're an unforgiving lot at times, and if you're not doing it, they'll let you know. But I quite like that. I like the honesty with that. And we had some unbelievable nights, games at Upton Park. It was a real highlight, really, of my career, even though I was still towards the back end of it, going through what I was going through. The people behind the scenes are all good, honest, working class people that just love the football club. And, you know, the lads we had at the time were all young lads, hungry, wanting to get better every single day, wanting to prove a point when we got promoted to the Premier League that we were good enough to be Premier League players. And it was a good time to be there.
So, I mean, you talk so highly of West Ham. So 5.5 seasons there. What made you go to Stoke with Tony Pulis?
Like I said, I needed a change. I was in the, you know, the height of my addiction. and it was all getting too much for me. Gianfranco Zola was manager at the time, brilliant footballer, brilliant man, actually a really good coach as well, had some really innovative ideas, but it's not worked out for him for whatever reason. But he invested time in me, and I'll never forget that I was struggling with my back issues. That's ultimately what led me to retire. But at that time I was struggling with my back, and he loved his yoga. So he said to me, come with me after training every single day, and we'll go into the gym and we'll do half an hour's yoga. So, to have someone like Gianfranco Zola, investing his time into you was amazing. But I knew that I wasn't where I should be mentally because I didn't want to do it. And sometimes turning up, and in the end, he thought, right, I've tried, and that's all you can think. I've tried, but it's probably time to move on now, and that's how it all happened.
And do you think players or coaches around you knew that you were kind of in a bit of trouble with your gambling, or did you manage to hide all that kind of stuff from people around you?
You can hide it initially, but it just gets on top of you to the point where people know, people talk, and yeah, I think quite a lot of players and staff knew that I had a problem. When
you go to Stoke City, my dad was fortunate, or he says he was unfortunate at the time. When he left Arsenal, I think he went to Stoke for 3 months. He said it was the hardest time for him ever. It was cold up there and very, very windy.
Yeah.
And they didn't play the greatest of football at the time. But what was that like for you, mate, going to Stoke? I mean, I really, really like Tony Pulis, and when people ask me kind of managers I like, he's one of them. I watched him at Arsenal when he was Stoke. I love his passion. I love what he's like on the sideline. It just looks like a great character. What was it like for you, mate?
Yeah, no, but it was a season they'd just come up, so it was January when I moved there, and the old famous one where they played the first 3 or 4 games and they'd lost them, and Paddy Power paid up and then getting relegated, and it was backs against the wall kind of thing. That's the mentality he tried to drive into the players. They were written us off, and they were still bottom or in the bottom 3, I believe, when I turned up in January, and he bought me and James Beattie, and we ended up staying up by April, I think, mid to early April. We had a brilliant run, and he was, for me, in my opinion, a very, very underrated manager. He was fantastic for me. I turned up the first day. My agent went in to do the deal. He drove me around in his car, places to maybe I could live around there, and really invested some time into me again. And he's a manager you wanted to play under. The training was 11v11s most days. The detail that he went into to the inch of where he wants you to be, if the ball's in this area or that area or this part of the pitch, was, you were drilled. You knew your job, and if you didn't do your job and didn't do what he asked of you, you weren't going to play. So it was black and white, really, and I quite like that. And I think most players like that. They want to know what you want out of them and what you want them to do on the pitch, and he certainly did that.
I always thought he come under a bad tag, really. I think because where he used to get Rory Delap to do the long throw, and people used to criticise him for it, but he was doing the best of what he had at the time. I thought he was an excellent manager, and you look at the Euros a few years ago, Iceland were doing the long throw, and no one was criticising them. I just felt he's been harshly criticised at times for someone. You can see the passion in him. He lives and breathes it. And did he help you with Did he know what he was signing, Matty, when he signed you with the gambling problem?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. And he said, that's why he goes, this is why, in my opinion, he said, I think we've got you very, very cheap here. He goes, but we know the issues with your gambling. We're going to help you with that. And I think about 2, 3, 4 months later, I ended up stopping, and that following season, I got Player of the Year for Stoke City. We had a great season, and I was enjoying my football again. But he was a big part of that. He really helped me in that.
You had a lot of appearances there, mate, as well, didn't you? I mean, what do you have, 150 odd there, didn't you? Over that's a lot. And what did it all come to an end for at Stoke?
Well, Mark Hughes came in. We got to an FA Cup final, won 5-0 in the semi-final under Pulis. We had some really good times. Went into Europe that next season. Played all over Europe. Ended up getting beat by Valencia in the last 32, I believe, last 16, last 32.
Yeah,
some brilliant things. But the fans, and again, like you said, Tony Pulis played with what he had at his disposal. He wanted to get the ball wide to his wingers like me and Jermaine Pennant.
Yeah.
And we had big strikers, Ken Wynne-Jones, James Beattie,
Yeah.
Crouchy towards the end as well. And if we get it forward, we could get it forward as well. And what does it look like after that? It runs off him, etc. Where you running inside or out. All the detail went into that. It wasn't just a hoof up to the pitch. And you know, I think in the end the fans become tedious of it. That they weren't enjoying it anymore for whatever reason. And don't get me wrong, there were times where we did go very, very direct in certain games because he thought that was the best way to beat the opposition we were playing against. And you get in the car and you think, did I enjoy that tonight or today? Not really, but we won 1-0. So, you know, you kind of take it. But I think the fans were itching for a change. I don't believe that the change should have been made. And, you know, that old adage, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, so I was just about to say that, mate. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and Mark Hughes came in and for the first season did okay, or the second season as well. But he tried to change the whole philosophy of the club, and the signings as well that were made for me weren't the right signings. And I left in Mark Hughes's in the beginning of his second season. My contract expired, and I left then.
And it's reported that your father thanked Stoke City for saving your career and helping you combat your gambling addiction. Exactly how did Stoke kind of step in and help?
No, Tony Pulis was a huge part of it. They didn't really step in and help. They just revitalised my football career, really. I had a massive connection with the fans. On my last appearance, I came on as a sub. I believe it was against Bolton, and the whole stadium just stood up and sang my name. Wow. And just, you know, it was an unbelievable feeling. I've given them some good times, but they've given me much better times as well. And it was just, we had a really, really good connection. And it was more that they revitalised my career, I think, and Tony Pulis was a massive part of that. I started to enjoy my football again. I got out of London. My wife's from London. She's from Essex, but when we used to always come back, but I just got out of there at the right time, I believe, and started concentrating on my football.
That's brilliant. Who would you say your influences, football influences are?
Watching as a kid?
Yeah, well, you're a Liverpool supporter, aren't you?
No, well, my old man used to be a Liverpool supporter, obviously, in Cornwall, and I followed them. I wouldn't say I'm a Liverpool supporter. No, I'd say now, and I never really had a team when I was younger. I used to follow Liverpool, and obviously Plymouth Argyle because they were the closest club to me. But after being at West Ham and Stoke City, those are the two teams that I follow the results. I've never said I've been a supporter in my career, but West Ham especially are the clubs closest to my heart.
Was there, I think you left Stoke in 2009. Did anything else come up for that? Or was it literally that's you done now and you want to concentrate on maybe moving into coaching?
No, it was, I wanted to play or see if I could play for another season or two. So I ended up going to Millwall with Ian Holloway. Yeah. Obviously the connection with Millwall and West Ham.
I was going to say that. What was Ian Holloway like as well? Because he's mad.
Yeah, no, he goes, the first thing he said to me, he goes, if I sign you, I think I'm going to get lynched, he said, because obviously your West Ham connections and all that. But he said, I had 2 days there and it was just a weird feeling. It didn't feel right. Obviously, really? At West Ham, I spent 5.5 years there. In a footballer's life, it's quite a long time.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And it just didn't feel right. And we did, the second day, we did a really hard session. And I'd been keeping myself in good shape. And I got home, I tried to get out of the car and my back was just in pieces, just completely locked up all the way up through my neck. And I just thought, I've been having this pain now. I've been through this pain for so long. Is it really worth it? So I got back sorted out. And I'm good friends with James Collins and he was at West Ham at the time. Sam Allardyce was manager. And Sam asked Ginge, he goes, what's Matty doing? I've seen he's out of contract. And he said, no, he's still not got a club. He said, get him in here. So I went into West Ham. Trained with them for 2 weeks, done really well the first week, and back end of the second week did 11v11 with the first team. 30 minutes. First 30 minutes did well, scored a goal, set up a couple, and I thought it's looking good. And then the last 30 minutes, my back completely seized up again, and I just thought this isn't for me. And they were talking about giving me a contract, but nothing was confirmed. And then Sam pulled me in. They were going to buy someone else. I can't think who they bought at the time, but they went that way. And I think in hindsight, it's probably the best thing because I had an amazing time at West Ham, but I wasn't the player that I was when I left.
Yeah.
I think it probably was the right decision.
Yeah, and you stepped into coaching, mate, haven't you? Are you with Peterborough 18s now? How's that come about, and how are you getting on with that?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I've got that like talking about the 15-year-old self again. I've got that drive and focus again, and that obsession, and that's definitely coming through in my day-to-day coaching. That's how we met, Lee, when I just thought, right, I'd dip my toe into the water and see if I want to get back into football. So I was a regional academy scout for Norwich, going around watching a lot of games, watching your team, fantastic little team. There was 4 or 5 players in that team for me. Now I've been in academy football that could have easily played academy football, should have. So I had a feel for the age group. I had a feel for the standard, and watching a lot of Cat 3 games as well, which Peterborough United are. And then the following season, the opportunity came for the 18. So I went and interviewed. There was 3 of us that got through to the final interview, I believe. Barry was there, and ended up getting the job. So it's my second season now, coming towards the end of my second season, and loving every minute, to be honest with you. It's completely different to playing, absolute night and day, but I love it. I absolutely love it. And just luckily for me, got accepted onto my pro license the other day.
Brilliant.
You know, things are looking good and things are looking positive.
How do you find just coaching younger players? I mean, they're so fortunate to have someone like yourself. I mean, back in our day, if we had someone like you, you know, what a chance you'd have. And I mean, do you give them advice? Do you help them as well with outside things other than football? And can you help them along their way?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do ultimately, is, you know, professional development phase, which is what we're in, is trying to prepare them for a professional environment. And that's our jobs. Definitely try and pass on whatever knowledge I have or mistakes that I've made at their age in the past, and you can definitely relate to it and help them. And that's what I'm trying to do. And so far, so good. It's going well. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it. I've got Si alongside me as well, doing it, which is brilliant for the boys. Si's been fantastic. So it's almost gone full circle that we're back there now, where it all started for us. So
can you see yourself stepping into a management role one day?
I think so. I think that's, you know, you've got to have goals, and that's a goal of mine without a doubt. When they'll come about, I don't know, but I'm 2 years into it now. Still got a lot to learn, and I feel like I'm doing that. I'm learning on a daily basis and really enjoying it and thriving. So, but that's ultimately the goal, is to step into senior football when the time's right, and try that. But I'm really enjoying academy football and everything that comes with that. You know, it's a field that I feel like I'm thriving in, and something that definitely that I'd like to continue doing.
It's a good club, Peterborough. I mean, I really like the chairman. I mean, he's got a lot to say, but I really like him. I think he's a fantastic character, and he's someone like I think we need in the game. And do you have to deal with him? Obviously, you deal with Darren Ferguson as well. How do you find all that? Do you enjoy that side of it? Yeah,
definitely. Like you said, the chairman is fantastic. He's so passionate about the football club.
Yeah,
I think ultimately that helps everybody in the community, and he cares for people. He cares for his employers, and he cares for the people of Peterborough. And you know, he's done a brilliant job. He's now got 2 Canadian owners in as well alongside him.
Yeah,
that are really good, really bright people. So the club's in a fantastic place from that point of view. I don't think the club could be in any better place with the current ownership that's there. And Darren Ferguson's been brilliant. Obviously, a really experienced manager, has great success. Always lean on him when I can.
Yeah.
We have good discussions, and you know, he's doing a good job again at Peterborough United. He did it the other times that he's been there, and he's doing it again now. So
they're renowned for signing good non-league players as well. They signed the lad last year from Kings Lynn, Fraser Blake Tracy, and I come against him last year when I was manager of Biggleswade. He was head and shoulders above.
He's done really well. He suffered a bit of injuries, but he's done fantastic. Jack Taylor from Barnet's been a brilliant signing. He looks really good whenever I've watched. So their recruitment's always been very, very good. And I think that's down to the chairman as well, and the team he has around him.
Matt, we always like to finish with a couple of random questions. So we call them quick fire, but they never normally are. But who's the best player you've played with or against?
Best player I've played with, Teddy's got to be up there. Teddy Sheringham. And for me, he still had an unbelievable career and won loads of titles. But I played with Michael Carrick in my first year at West Ham. We used to room together, and he was just an unbelievable footballer.
So underrated, Matty.
Underrated.
He could have, for me, he could have slipped into Barcelona's team and not looked out of place. And that's
without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt.
Opinion, and people laugh at me, but such a talent. I don't think he ever give the ball away. You know, very rarely. Just so comfortable on the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a gift in itself to, before you receive the ball, is to know your pass and know the options you have. And he knew it. You know, he knew it as soon as he received it, where it was going. And just a brilliant footballer. What
was he like, Teddy? Because he was always lacked pace, but he just looked such a gifted player.
He was. He's technically brilliant, absolutely brilliant technically. And like I said, I played with him at Tottenham and at West Ham, and he didn't get any. You know, he was always at the same level.
Right.
Always, and that was down to
any worse. Just stayed there.
Yeah, he just always trained to the best of his ability, and technically very, very, very good. Could score a goal. What a career he had.
And best player you played against, mate?
That has to be Cristiano Ronaldo. Played well when he was at United, and obviously he played right wing at the time. I was left wing, so it'd be on my side. And he's only got better since he's left United, but he was still some player then.
What's that like when you're lining up in the change room, or in the tunnel, you come on the pitch? What's it like? Is he that good? Is he just head and shoulders above anything? He's such an elite level. Is he that much better?
Yeah, he is. I actually seen him. We played against him for England under 21s. Either 21s or 18s. We played Portugal away, and he's actually, I think he's 2, 3, 4 years younger than me. But anyway, we played them in Portugal. Paul Konchesky, I played with at West Ham as well, was left back, left wing. They had Ronaldo on one wing, they had Quaresma on the other. I've never seen 2 wingers like it in my life, honestly. It was just the most unbelievable performance from both of them. They beat us 4-0, I believe. It could have been 8. And the 2 of them were just outstanding. Technically, physically, they were just so quick, so powerful. Just brilliant, brilliant footballers. So that was the first time I'd seen him, really. And yeah, playing against him when he was at United, you just couldn't really get near him.
What's your biggest achievement in football?
I think for me, it was always a dream to score at Wembley. And in that 5-0 win for Stoke City when we beat Bolton in the FA Cup semi-final, I realised some dreams there. Scored the first goal, got man of the match. That was always a dream of mine, a boyhood dream of mine. I think playing an FA Cup final, albeit I lost 2, was a massive achievement. And coming out the other side, really, even though it's not really about football, is coming out the other side of my gambling problems.
Massive.
And moving on with that and finding a better life for myself while still in football was a massive achievement for me.
Yeah, massive.
What's the best goal you've ever scored?
Either the playoff semi-final against Ipswich for West Ham, that still get West Ham fans talking to me about it now, tweeting me or whatever. Either that goal, or I scored a goal against Spurs at White Hart Lane, where I got the ball just inside the halfway line and scored a goal. So it'd probably be either those 2 that would be my favourite, I say.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Yeah, good shout, mate.
that was too quick and easy, wasn't it, that one?
You know what? My opinion on that is I look at Federer and Nadal, and one is just totally born with a gift, and one is unbelievable but works so hard to be that good.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm the same with Messi and Ronaldo. They're both an unbelievable player, and someone that we might not ever see again at that level. But Messi's just born with a complete gift for me, and he's just so good.
Yeah, I agree. Like you summed it up perfectly there. Federer is just, you watch him play tennis and it's just completely natural to him, just like it is Messi when he has a ball at his feet, But don't get me wrong, what Ronaldo's achieved in the game is frightening on every level. But I'd rather watch Messi every day of the week.
I've just got one more question to ask, Matt, if you don't mind.
Yes, mate,
obviously, the current situation across the world, people can find themselves, alone and in a dark place. What advice would you give to someone who was maybe in your shoes a few years ago and it's starting to feel like their addictions are getting on top of them?
It's tough. The only person that can help you is yourself, if that makes sense. I had so many people when I was in the height of my addiction that used to say, "Look, do you want to talk? Do you want to, go for a meal? Or we need to talk about this. We need to talk it through. But if you're not ready, you're not ready. So first and foremost, you need to admit it to yourself. I've got a problem here, and I need to do something about it. And until you do that, it's so hard to get out of the current situation you're in. You've got to recognise a little bit of self-evaluation, the position you're in, and the reason you're in that mental state. And when that happens, and when you do realise that, I think that's when you go and speak to people.
Yeah, sure.
That are qualified. You speak to your family, you speak to your friends, you give them an honest account of how you're feeling, why you're feeling that way, and what's going on, whether it's an addiction or what have you. Just be completely honest, and that in itself is a massive weight off your shoulders, and it's the first thing that makes you feel a lot better.
How are you coping now, mate? I think you're incredible, to be honest, to do what you've achieved in the game and to fight addiction like that as well. It's just amazing. So how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm fine now, thankfully, mate. Like I said, I've got great family around me. I do think, although I'll always be a compulsive gambler, that's behind me now. I don't think about it anymore, where it was all I thought about every single second of every day. Now it's completely parked, and I just don't think about it. Yes, I've got to be on top of it, but I'm in a really good place, and I've got new goals, I've got new drive, and yeah, I couldn't be any better, to be honest, mate.
No, you've just touched on it. What are Matt Etherington's goals?
I want to try and have a better managerial or coaching career than I did as a footballer. That's my goal, and that's it probably in a nutshell. What that entails, we'll have to wait and see, but that's the goal. But that's small steps, that's baby steps. Like I said, I've only been in coaching for a couple of years, but you've got to dream big, so that's the goal.
No, listen, mate, this has been absolutely fantastic. I think Jay will agree with me here. This has been probably our best one. So just your honesty and what you've been through, and your career itself, mate, is a massive pat on the back for you, because you've been great, and I'm sure you'll strive to be what you're going to be in management. And I really hope to see you soon, mate. And thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure, mate. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Cheers, Matt.
Thank you, mate.
Chaps. Thank you.
Bye, mate. Bye.
See you later.
Well, Jay, for me, I thought that was absolutely superb. What do you think?
I think that his openness and honesty was unbelievable, really, wasn't it? I can't speak highly enough of him, to be fairly.
Yeah, as I said to you before, I can only go back a few years ago when you don't expect an email off of Matthew Etherington to tell you how good your under-18 team is, and would I mind him coming in to watch a session, and we were just a little Sunday side at the time. We were a very good one, but, for him to do that just speaks volumes for the man. And I just, that interview there is just, it's inspiring, if you ask me. I thought he was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, definitely. And I think, just off the back of it, I know we're getting a lot of people that have been listening to the two podcasts before that, but if there is anyone out there, obviously, that feels like they're getting in a bit of trouble, do you know what I mean? Like he said, you've got to start talking about it, and once you accept it, then you can start moving along. So if there are people out there, especially at the minute, get in touch if there's a problem. We'll always talk with someone. We've both
exactly. No, listen, mate, I've always said that. They've got us on Twitter, follow us, inbox us, whatever. We're all here to help each other. It's really testing times at the moment, and if we can help some people by putting these podcasts out, and hopefully they can get some enjoyment and a little bit of time. And if they need any help, please get in touch.
Do you know what made me laugh? It was so we've done three podcasts now. all of them have told us unbelievable stories, but the word Roy Keane keeps popping up. Sarli megs him. And then you got him turned up, and then like today, could you imagine standing on the same pitch as Cristiano and Ronaldo, thinking today's the day I've got to play against that geezer?
I don't know if that's more impressive or walking to meet Sir Alex Ferguson at 18 for the first time to go for a trial.
Oh my God,
I'd struggle to get my boots on, let alone have a chat with him.
Oh, one thing's for sure, mate. You'd definitely be able to chat with him.
Oh, mate, yeah. You're not wrong. But I mean, listen, he's a massive character in the game, and absolutely brilliant. Matty was there, and again, I want to thank him for that.
Oh, you can only wish him well, can't you? Do you know what an end to the story it would be though if you end up seeing him in non-league, League One, League Two management role. I mean, that would be just a dream, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be fantastic, mate. As I say, that's my goal, and it looks like that's Matty's goal, and I'm sure he'll get there and achieve it because you can tell by his determination to get to the top. He's done it as a footballer, and the way he speaks, I think he speaks very well, and he's doing very well at Peterborough under 18. So hopefully he can kick on, mate.
Yeah, definitely, mate. No, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to him again.
No, well done, mate. I'll speak soon.
See you later, mate.